Look like I'm part of the
game. All right, we are live. Is everybody ready?
Ready to hear me? Am I in sync?
Everybody's in sync. All right, we got Omarion Hampton, the Cleveland running back, committed to North Carolina, on the show. You see him on the screen. We're going to ask him a couple questions, and he's going to beat up Sam on the game show. It makes Sam feel bad.
He came prepared with the tank top, though, didn't he? Look at him all
swole. Looking all swole. Looking all swole. So he told us back on that side.
He told us pre-show that he did 177 push-ups in a row. That's why he's all
right now. We got Omarion Hampton on the show, man. Omarion, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Tell us about your season and this team you're on. You guys are on one heck of a run.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing good so far. Just practicing hard. And I feel like we're going into the season really strong.
Well, how about Friday's game? Big rivalry game with some serious implications. What do you guys got to do to win that?
Really just make practice perfect and then just come into the game, focus, locked in, and everything like that.
Sam, what are you seeing from this young man? I know you were impressed in the background.
Yeah, I mean, personally, he's my favorite for Mr. Football right now. Like the way that he's playing, I think he is dominating. And the reason why this team's so good is literally he's strapping them on his back. I know there's other factors that are going on his team. He probably won't say that. He'll say that, he'll give credit to the offensive line and things like that. But, I mean, my man came into the show with a tank top on. The boy confident. You know what I'm saying? So I love it.
Yes, appreciate it.
Omarion, how much are you pushing in the weight room, man? What are you pushing? Bench press and squat?
Today I hit 400 on bench press. And then squat.
Nice.
Wow.
What do you hit on the squat?
It's like 595.
See, that's a wrong question to ask though, Langston, because squat, it could be judgmental. Like, do they go low enough? Do they not? You know what I'm saying? Do they go deep squat? Do they just think they go to parallel?
I can't.
He puts his butt to the mat. What are you
talking
talking
about? 500 pounds. Go ahead, Gary. You got a question.
Yeah, Omarion.
Oh, wait. Omarion. Gary is the biggest North Carolina fan alive. I just want you to know that. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, Omarion. I got season tickets, and I didn't like what I saw up in Chapel Hill this year. But my question is, are you graduating early and enrolling in the spring?
No, sir. I'm not graduating. I'm coming in later.
Okay. Who would you say your running style is most like? If you were looking at another running back, you say, yeah, that's kind of how I run. Whose style do you think you mirror?
I feel like most people see like Saquon or like Nchsaa, something like that.
Okay.
That's pretty tough. And last week you had 7 touchdowns. Is that right?
Get the cats for me, Jerry.
Yeah, yes, sir.
How do you get 7 touchdowns in a game?
Run to the goal line, baby. Tell them every time.
That is absolutely insane.
That's my favorite number too, by the way. So I'll be hyped.
That's absolutely insane. Okay, so we're gonna play this little game. It's a multiple choice, and all you gotta do is get the right answers and beat Sam. And he's on a little win streak. He's won the last couple of weeks. So
4 weeks.
What?
Last 4 weeks.
You have not won the last 4 weeks.
No, we won last week.
I've tied one.
You
have not won the last 4 weeks.
You have not. Ties are not wins.
Yes, they are. When you have the belt, you got to beat the champ to get it.
A tie's not a win.
Dale, I don't want to hear it. I smoke you on the game show.
We're going to play the team music and we're going to get it on.
Brother, I'm not MJ, just Coach Griner, but I'm the GOAT of the game show.
So I have my guns out there, and I have my guns out with them.
I knew you were going to talk about the little guns. All right. Dale's on the question. Omarion, you had the first answer. Here we go.
Okay. What is the name of the UNC Tar Heels mascot? Why are you asking him this?
I know, like he don't know it.
A, Tartar. B, Ramses. C, Hillboy. D, Choo Choo.
All right. Omarion, what's your
Choo
answer?
Choo Justice.
I'm gonna go with B.
B, Ramses. What you got, Samuel?
I like B too.
B is the correct answer, so we are tied at 1.
Wonder if they know who
That was
Choo Choo is.
scary right there. I was,
Do you think any of them know who Choo Choo is?
did you really know that? Because that's what I thought, but I didn't know.
He knew. He's going there.
See, just admit it. Just admit it. Langston sent you the questions so you could prep. It's all good.
No, I don't send the questions, Sam. I promise you, I don't send the questions. All right, Chelsea, let's go.
All right. Who was the first?
Golly, really?
Another UNC question. Who was the first UNC Tar Heels coach to win 70 games in his career in Chapel Hill? A, Bill Dooley. B, Mack Brown. C, Dick Crum. Or D, Carl Torbush.
Samuel.
I'm going to go A, Bill Dooley.
A, Bill Dooley. What you got, Omarion?
I'm gonna go. I think A too.
A, Bill Dooley. That's the C, Dick Crum. Dick Crum was first to do it. Mack Brown and Carl Torbush both got the 69 in their first tours of duty. So we're still tied at 1. You getting nervous, Sam?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I ain't going to lie.
You might get a little more nervous with this next
He
question.
might
I
know
don't
the
see,
full quarter
I
better
mean,
than you do.
Y'all be giving me Tar Heel questions. You know, me and Dale NC State guys. So.
Sam, I think he did the 4 corners on you there, though.
Yeah, I think
He
so.
did. I wanted to be confident in my answer, so he at least came with me on that.
All right, Dale, here we go.
All right. The nation's second leading rusher currently plays for an ACC school. Who is it? Sean Tucker at Syracuse. B, Manio Durant at Duke. C, Ty Chandler, UNC. D, Jashawn Corbin, Florida State.
Marion, it's on you, sir.
I'm gonna go with C.
C, Ty Chandler. What you got, Samuel?
Whew. I'm going to go B, Duke.
Mateo Durant. The answer is Sean Tucker, so we're still tied at 1.
Golly. That was tough.
I thought Amarion would get that question because he's a running back. I figured he's following that kind of stuff. You're going to be on that list in a couple years, right, Amarion?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, no doubt.
My God. See, what's wrong with confidence? What's wrong with a little confidence?
Carolina's
Nothing.
kind of turned into running back in the last couple of years, too. All right. Chelsea has this question.
All right. Memphis rap star Key Glock is a prodigy of another Memphis rapper, Young Dolph. What is Key Glock's real name? A, Markevius McCaffrey. B, Aubrey Graham. C, Kari Cephas. Or D, Jonathan Kirk.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on, Sam. You
I'm
know.
gonna go. It's definitely A.
A is the answer. What you got, Amarion?
I'm gonna just go D.
D. Jonathan Kirk is the baby out of Charlotte. A is the correct answer. Sam is
Let's go! Come on!
Sam is up 2-1 going to our final question. So, Marion, you must stop. And I know what Sam's going to do now. He's going to do his little cheating thing he does.
Let them know, Gary, in the back. Let them know, baby.
All right.
You don't want to go for the big win.
Here we go, Dan.
A win's a win.
Here we go,
Win's a
Dan.
win.
No, a tie's not a win. Here we go, Dan.
In the upcoming King Richard movie, which actor plays the role of Richard Williams, father of tennis great Venus and Serena Williams? A, Danny Glover. B, Will Smith. C, Jamie Foxx, D, Terrence Howard. Well, I like all those guys.
All right, Amarion, let's go. I need it. I need you. I need you right here, man.
I'm gonna go C.
C, Jamie Foxx. Samuel, what you got?
Well, I'm going to win by 2 because the answer is B, Will Smith.
The answer is B, Will Smith. And Sam, you did win. But Amarion, it's all right.
It's like this. It's over the top. If we arm wrestled, you know what would happen. To let you know.
You lose. He
let
said
you know what happened. We can put that on the show too if you want to.
you would lose. Amarion, thanks for coming on, man. Later on in the year, we're going to have the finals for Mr. Football come on. If you make the final 3, I hope you'll come back with us when we name the winner. Is that cool?
Appreciate it for having me.
Is that a date?
We'll get you a little bow tie to go with your tank top.
Yeah, do we have a date for you to come back?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, look, good luck to you, all right? Thanks for coming on.
All right, yes, sir. Appreciate it.
I like that guy right there. I'm pulling for him.
Yeah.
8 touchdowns.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, if we stopped it right now, he would be my favorite to win it right now.
Your favorite to win it? Yeah. All right, so we got to go find out what the guru's got on his mind. 60 seconds with Chris.
Hello again, everybody. It's Chris Hughes, the guru of high school football, with 60 seconds with Chris here on Talking Preps NC. And, we got the third round of the playoffs coming up this weekend. That's certainly the main thing on all of our minds. And we're looking forward to these big-time games about to take place. But don't forget about the other season, which is about to kick off here in the state of North Carolina. And that is the coaches' silly season, the coaching carousel, with the COVID last year and a lot of the craziness. We haven't had quite the coaching turnover that we typically had. Normally we average somewhere between 80 and 100 coaching changes a year. I have a feeling that those numbers are going to be back up this year. I got a lot of coaches that I'm hearing are about to turn in their resignation or thinking about changing jobs. I got a lot of big time guys that you've known for many, many years that I think are going to contemplate retirement. The 60 seconds of Chris here. Just wanted to kind of bring that up and just kind of put that in the back of your mind, because as the season winds down, once the playoffs end, typically either right before Christmas or right thereafter when the first semester ends, I think we're going to start to get an abundance of coaching moves. So that could affect a lot of things. You could see some assistants changing schools. You could see assistants being elevated up to the head coaching level. And you know how it's been lately. We might even see some of our best coaches here in North Carolina end up at some higher paying gigs, whether it be in Georgia or South Carolina or maybe some other states. But anyway, guys, for Talking Preps NC, this is 60 Seconds of Chris, the guru, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, guru, with a little smile there from the guru. We don't always see that.
That little snarl smile, I like it.
All right, Alex, we had a big update today. The state legislators made some changes to House Bill 91. They basically going to adopt the rules around student participation, penalties and appeals, game plan administration, fees and reporting. After they adopt their rules, they're going to enter into an agreement with one or more nonprofits, including the NCISAA, for a 4-year term. The NCISAA, as you see on the other side, Bobby Wilkins, the president, is okay with this move because they've talked to the Board of Education. They believe that's going to be them. What are your thoughts about the revisions and the potential for the association to continue?
I am positive and encouraged about the prevailing framework. I would like to see some revisions into the updated verbiage. And what do I mean by that? Number one, the relationship between the State Board of Education and a nonprofit entity to govern high school athletics in the state of North Carolina should be limited to a relationship between the State Board of Education and one nonprofit association. Why is that the case? Because if you hearken back to the days when the North Carolina High School Athletic Association disassociated itself from the University of North Carolina system, the primary mitigating factor in that situation was that the NCISAA could not be responsive to serving its membership through the NCISAA Board of Directors and answering to entities with the UNC system as at the time based at the Friday Center for Continuing Education. To use the words of the late, great NCISAA Executive Director, Charlie Adams, we cannot serve two masters. So this agreement has to be a State Board of Education agreement with one entity. It has to be clear to whomever is answering. There's got to be a clear relationship there. Furthermore, I'd like to see stronger clarification and hopefully an expansion of this 4-year term to include an automatic rollover so that nonprofit entity, hopefully the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, is able to function always with a 4-year contract.
Right.
Otherwise, that limits the scope of strategic planning for the NCISAA or whichever nonprofit entity in terms of the length of contracts into which they can enter and have those binding relationships if their term were to expire at some point. So that's a limiting and mitigating factor. So I'd like to see a rollover element incorporated there. Obviously, you're going to have implications for realignment and other things. So I'd like to see something clearer there. And then just the last details that it needs to be clear that so who is responsible. So like say, for instance, when you partner with that entity, the NCISAA or whichever one nonprofit, that entity is the one who makes the hiring decisions in terms of who the CEO, in this case, the commissioner is of the NCISAA, so as to ensure that this does not become a political appointment. You're partnering with the association or whichever nonprofit entity. So it is that association that determines who its chief executive officer, in this case, a commissioner, is. Right. So we'll see how all that plays out. Obviously, this will have some implications on the NCISAA's articles of incorporation and bylaws and how those are tweaked and realized and implemented. Right. So I like the framework. I like the intent. I'd like to see a little more tweaking and refinement to the verbiage.
Chris, any thoughts here real quick on the changes? I know you want to see more.
Just transparency.
Transparency. You know, thank you.
And to echo what Alex said, and obviously I feel Alex is the smartest guy in the room in here when it comes to his in-depth knowledge of the processes and everything within the framework of the NCISAA. And I agree. I think clarity is certainly the one thing that I'd like to see more of, just so that there's, you know what it is that you're looking at. But I couldn't agree more with what Alex said. You know, I don't want to see an outside entity, a political entity, forcing the hand of who that person is in charge that runs the NCISAA. And for the record, why again, I've always been an advocate of more transparency when it comes to just the oversight, I guess, of the association. I still am on the record of saying I don't think that there's any other person or entity out there other than the high school association that should be running this. But overall, I think this is a good compromise and a very positive step forward from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, Dale, your thoughts real quick, and then Gary.
Yeah, so is it a good compromise? I don't know. I'm worried about this. I don't like the fact that it could change. One, the reason we're here is political, and I think we all know that. It's a political move, a lot of politics here. And how can there be another entity right now that could take over the NCISAA and run it like, or take over those responsibilities and run it like they do? I'm worried. I have a lot of worry that this is going to become a political animal that will be controlled through politics, including the hiring of people and what they do. These appeal processes, all that stuff worries me. I wanted transparency and have asked for that for years. And I'm a full believer in we need transparency. And I think auditing and overlooking them, but they have to they have to partner with the NCISAA. I believe that's the best thing for the state.
That's what the NCISAA believes. Garrett, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Real quick, then we'll get out.
Yeah, this is the first I've seen of it, so I don't know the details, but it sounds like pork that was just included into the North Carolina budget, which Governor Cooper said he was going to sign today. We've been without a budget for so long, and usually when they're trying to rush a budget or some other major piece of legislation to get approved by a deadline, what happens is some politicians will slip other little segments in there, which we call pork,
Yes.
to favor their district.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, is this pork with the North Carolina budget? Yeah, I look at it this way. Whoever started all this, like Dale said, politically, they had nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
And so the NCISAA, they have to give up something, but what do they have to gain? You see, it's not a compromise. You got one side that's gaining and the other side that's losing. So that's not a compromise.
Even if they come back in charge, they're going to have a set of rules they have to follow that are probably a lot different than what they're used to.
Yeah, but like I said, I didn't read it, so I don't know the details. But
we'll keep following it and see where it goes.
But at least hopefully they'll have their jobs.
I don't want to step on Chelsea's toes. It's Chelsea's world. It's your world, and I'm out.
All right, so this week I spoke with Josiah Henderson, O-line from Roseville High School. This week they play Millbrook, who's in their conference. It's a game I really look forward to, but he's also an ECU commit. And I just wanted to talk to him about, their road to the playoffs. And I know last year, making it all the way to the state championship against Chambers, kind of what that chip on their shoulders like, and, their goal is to make it back there.
Awesome. Let's see it.
But this week, I'm interviewing class of 2022 Josiah Henderson from Rollsville High School, also an ECU commit. So, Josiah, I want to look back to kind of the first round of playoffs where you guys played Pinecrest and came out with a great win. Kind of compare that to also the first game of y'all's regular season, and how you guys came out with that win in the end of playoffs, and just discuss that game.
So, well, I feel like first game, you know what I'm saying, as everybody know, we had a lot of seniors also, and a lot of guys that had to step up and play different roles. Also, we had a different defensive set. I think we're running like a 3-3 stack at the time, and it really wasn't good for our personnel. We felt like as a team, we didn't lose by much, but it was just a learning experience. We pretty much went undefeated last season, so just a wake-up call, to let us know we're beatable. But compared to now, like I said, the team is gelling great. You know what I'm saying? Things we should have been doing from the jump, we're finally doing. That's why we're putting up big numbers and playing great as a unit right now.
Nice. And looking back to this past game against New Bern, you guys came out with another win to move on to round 3. Talk about that game and your performance a bit.
I mean, honestly, I just want to give a huge shout out to the O-line, man. We blocked our tails off, and especially the defense. They did their thing, held them down. They gave us the stops we needed. And once we get rolling, we're a hard team to stop. I feel like we have one of the best offenses in the state. So if our defense can hold it down, we're going to put up big numbers every night. So just great shout out to the whole team as a whole. And I feel like it was a great team win.
Nice. And with Roseville being in, such a strong conference, playing teams like Millbrook, Heritage, or Wake Forest, how did those games in the regular season prepare you guys to be greater now in the postseason?
Those are just some examples of like regular season, like it matters, but when you have like been through war with hard teams, it comes back in the playoffs. Yeah, you could be undefeated in the regular season, but if you really aren't playing anybody and going through those hard games and know what it feels like, what you have to do to beat teams of those caliber, it's not really going to help at the end of the day. So going through those teams, those really talented teams, and knowing what it feels like, what we have to do to win those type of games, it really comes through at times like this where everybody's pretty much good now that we're playing. It's not going to be an easy game. So already having those experiences playing teams like that are, dominant football teams in the state, it really helps at times like this. like playoff time.
Yeah. And speaking of in-conference teams, next week for round 3, you guys play Millbrook. You guys are familiar with their game, played them in the regular season. Kind of talk about that expectation for that game.
I mean, like Millbrook has a lot of great talent. You know what I'm saying? My boy Wes over there, my boy Nathan. They got some dogs over there, and they're coached pretty well. But like I said, man, I feel like right now we're gel. You know what I'm saying? The teams come together, we're playing together, we're one unit, and we're just busting our toes every day. Practice on Fridays. I mean, hey, it's gonna be a great game. 2 offenses, so it's gonna be a shootout. But I feel like we got it. But it's a lot of great talent over there. It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, I look forward to that. And so last season, you guys made it to the championship against a strong Chambers team. Is there kind of like a chip on your shoulder or pressure, having that expectation from last season?
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the state championship, you pretty much sealed your team as like one of the better teams in the state because it's not easy making that. I mean, I played on the team. It wasn't easy. Even though we won undefeated to get there, it wasn't easy at all. So solidifying that place in North Carolina is like, hey, Roseville was in the state championship. Every team knows that. Every team watched the game. So, I mean, every week you go out there, we're playing the last year's state champion contender. So it definitely puts a chip on our back, but also knowing the feeling of losing, you never want to feel that feeling again. And we want to go back and change it this time and go out with a bang.
For sure. And Josiah, this is your senior year. Any game could be your last, but kind of reflect on your whole high school career and what's one game that was, really significant to you.
I kind of got 2.
Okay.
So like number 1, second time we played Wake Forest. We blew them out the first game, but second game was a great game. Both teams played amazing. I think it went to double overtime. Just that game, the whole team put they all into that game. Like we weren't going out. We wanted to go to the championship so bad, and we did all we had to do to make it. So that game, it meant a lot. I mean, that's probably my favorite game ever. Just the emotions after and all the hard work we put in to get there. That was a great game. Also, the state championship, just losing, like that's not a good feeling at all. Like it's not a good feeling at all. Like we played so hard. The team, those seniors, those guys are like my brothers to this day. Talk to them every day. Like they wanted that state championship more than anything. So knowing that they wanted that and how hard we put in the work to get there last year, I'm gonna give it my all to get back there and try to bring it home this year.
I like that. And so, Josiah, you're an ECU commit. Kind of discuss, your relationship with that school and what made it home for you.
Absolutely, man. Being from the 252, you know what I'm saying, that played a big part into it. It's not far from home, but just the coaching. They're one of the teams to like recruit me hard. I took my first like real visit there, and just since day one and how they treated me and my family, like I couldn't. I mean, it was really a no-brainer. My loaded coaching staff, Coach Shank, Coach Houston, recruiters, Coach Dudley, the whole program, the whole staff. I love everything about it. We just got 2 big wins last few Saturdays, so I mean we're rolling, and we have a lot of great commits coming in. My boy CJ, JD, Eli, we got a squad coming in, so we're doing something real special in Greenville, and I can't wait to get up there and ball out.
That's great. Congrats on your commitment. Well, thank you so much for hopping on, and best of luck this Friday.
So thank you.
That was Josiah Henderson. He's one of my favorite athletes to kind of talk to. I think he's really well spoken. I got to talk to him last season with Chris, and I really look forward to this game against Millbrook Friday.
Yeah, I wish I was a high school kid. I get on Chelsea's World. It's some great publicity. Be on all these newspapers and websites and Twitter and YouTube, and you do such a good job with it. And tell people how they can get in touch with each other. Yeah,
if you want to be featured on Chelsea's this great coverage with the News and Observer, Talking Preps NC. My Twitter is @ChelseaSipple. My DMs are open. Anyone just reach out to me, and I'd love to set something up.
Yeah, and you can be anywhere in North Carolina. You don't have to be in Raleigh or Charlotte. Chelsea, I mean, she goes everywhere. But Chelsea, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll catch you next week. Appreciate you.
Thank you. See y'all.
All right.
Take care, Chelsea.
All right. You see the other guru on the screen. I got 2 gurus. I got basketball now, and I got football in the back. So we got Rick Lewis and Alex Bass, and Gary to talk a little girls basketball. Alex put together a watch list of some of the top girls players in the country. What are we looking at, Alex?
We're in a really exciting time here in North Carolina. This upcoming season, first off, finally back into a rhythm where we'll have a full season that'll be a marathon as opposed to a sprint. And if you look at the classes of 2022, 23, and 24, I've just identified 10 players to watch among these three classes, which will give us a lot of excitement going forward. And we'll just really celebrate a renaissance of women's basketball in this state, the likes of which we haven't seen since, if you want to go back to the early to mid 2000s, all the way back, and you look at the great teams that Gary Richmond had at Vance High School, and those that followed at Butler, East Mecklenburg, on at West Charlotte, and we could go on and on. But so let's take a look at who we have here. So let's start with the class of 2022, our seniors right here. So I want to point out that three of these four players, Maya Joyner at Farmville Central, who's committed to East Carolina, signed with East Carolina now. We had signing day. Imani Lester of North Raleigh Christian. She's the daughter of former NC State pivot man Avi Lester. India Nevar at Apex Friendship, who was contributor last year. She's a 5-star recruit. That will be a huge get, and she is a top priority for NC State. And Torrin Rogers of Murphy, who has signed with Richmond. So three of these four young ladies right here have competed in state finals. So they do to take their teams to higher levels. Joyner, a 6'2" forward at ECU, so obviously a big hometown deal there right in Pitt County. Lester, a 6'3" center. Nevar, a 5'9" wing. And Rogers, a 6'1" wing. You look at the variance there. That's exciting to watch all the way around. Move on to 2023. Rachel Douglas at Millbrook, just another 6-foot combo guard. Millbrook has had quite a run of players of that caliber and that skill set. Marasia Pass at Shelby was MVP of the state final, 2A state final last year. And she leads a loaded Shelby team. Once again, a nice 5'4" point guard, very fun and exciting to watch. And then lastly, this class of 2024. Oh my goodness.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
On the national level. I mean, just sit back and take in watching these young ladies as 10th graders and think of what you see right now. As great as they are now, what we're going to see in 2 years.
It's crazy because three of these young ladies are nationally ranked. I mean, Gary, what are you seeing in girls basketball? Is it a lot better than when you coached, or is it leveled out? What are you seeing?
What I'm seeing is the numbers are going down. There are so many basketball programs, and those that have a rich history in women's basketball that are not fielding JV teams anymore.
Right.
And even the teams that do have a JV team, they're not having to cut. They're not having to have tryouts. Anybody that comes out is on the team because the numbers are so low in girls basketball. The quality of play is good on the varsity level. And most conferences in women's basketball are very top heavy. You have 2, maybe 3 very good teams, and then it's a dramatic drop off. It's not as balanced as the boys' conferences generally are, where you may have, 4 or 5 top level teams in a conference, and 1 or 2 average teams, and then maybe 1 bad team. You don't see that in girls basketball. Girls basketball tends to be very top heavy.
Well, on the boys' side, we got a lot of talent. There's so much talent. We're starting these non-association teams popping up where you go to school at one place and you play at another place, and some of those are reflected in your non-association top 10 here, Rick. Let's go through it real quick.
Well, you have Kanban Academy with Jeff McGinnis. They did lose Robert Dillingham and a few other players, but you still have 7-foot Patrick Westler, who's going to Virginia Tech, and also Jay Neps, who transferred down from Virginia. They're probably still the top of the heap as far as the non-association teams. Mike Wright is building a pretty good program over at Liberty Heights. They have Silas Demery, who played for Millbrook last year, won the state championship. He's over there as well. So they're very tough. And then you have Moravian Prep, which, you have to talk about the Ellis, boys. You got Eli Ellis, the freshman, who went off this last weekend for 31 points against Winston-Salem Christian. And Winston-Salem Christian's pretty loaded. They got 2 guys going to Providence and, just a roster full of Division I prospects. And then down at Word of God, you have 5 guys who are mid to high major prospects on that particular team. And then, of course, you have Vertical Academy with Mikey Williams and then Tremaine Parker.
Tremaine Parker is one of those guys that nobody really knows about. Is really having a huge coming out party right now.
He's 6'2". He's probably one of the most athletic players that you'll ever see. He can jump out of the gym, and he's going to be on all the YouTube sensations for highlight dunks. He's one of these guys who can go up between his legs and get his head above the rim and make some of the dunks you just look at and say, wow. So pretty impressive.
And he landed on your watch list here. Give me 1 or 2 other guys on here that really catch your eye.
Freddie De Leon down at Word of God. He's 6'5", 6'6". A lot of people haven't really heard about him, but he's been averaging almost a triple-double. He's been averaging around 27 points a game, over 5 assists and 10 assists and 10 rebounds. He's someone that a lot of people don't know about. Eli Ellis, I mentioned earlier at Moravian Prep. I think those are the main guys. And, of course, I've already mentioned Patrick Westler at Combine. He had a phenomenal game against Northside Christian where he went for 31 points. He was very tremendous in that particular game.
Yeah. How is Mikey Williams doing so far, Rick?
It's one of those things that you haven't heard a lot about. Usually, from my understanding, most of the highlights have been featured around Tremaine Parker. I've seen more about him than I have Mikey Williams. So, I don't watch Vertical that much as far as on the YouTube games or whatever. So I really don't know, but I haven't seen a lot of media buzz this year like it was last year.
Well, my man signed a whole shoe contract with Puma. He's on a 2K commercial. I think he's doing all right. All right, Rick, let's take a look at your preseason North Carolina boys poll. We're ranking everybody all together, not by class. Boom, here's the top 20.
Well, you have to put Greensboro Day at the top. After, Freddie Johnson is one of the best coaches in the state. I call him the Dean Smith of high school basketball. They went up against Oak Hill. Now, granted, Oak Hill didn't have their best player, Chris Livingston, playing, but that's part of it. Injuries are part of the game.
Absolutely.
They went in. They were down 29-14. They came back, and they pulled off the upset. But they have a tremendous roster, D1 players. But he's one of these guys that's just – he's been around for a long time. He's just a guru of high school coaches. I think they're the top team in the state. And then, of course, Chambers is the team that I think is the heavy favorite to win the 4A public school on paper. Mm-hmm. They got a tremendous amount of talent. They got Jalen Curry, who is on the USA 16 and under team. I think he is the best passing point guard in the country. Daniel Sanford just signed with South Carolina. And they have Nick Dorn, who – last year, this time was about 5'11". He's about 6'4", 6'5" now. And his brother, played at Charlotte and then NC State. His dad played at Carolina. So he's a great perimeter shooter. And they also have Omarion Hampton. So they're going to be really, really tough at the 4A public. Burlington School, they won the 2A last year. Ryan Bernardi's a young coach. He has basically reloaded again. I think there's really going to be no competition really at the 2A level for the Burlington School, so he should repeat. Weddington is one of these teams that is just, and I talked about it in one of the articles I did, it's about team chemistry. They're led by Chase Lowe, who's a 6'4", 6'5" guard. They won the state championship going 18-0 last year. They're moving up to 4A this year. And if anyone can give Chambers a run for the money, it's going to be Weddington.
Well, Rick, I wanted to ask you, Carmel Christian Providence Day playing on Saturday is a big matchup at Country Day, but Central Cabarrus, their fans got on us for not putting them in the Sweet 16. What do you think about Central Cabarrus? I see you have them ranked in your top 20.
Central Cabarrus is going to probably be one of the teams that compete for the 3A state championship along with West Charlotte from the West. You have the Daniel twins, Chase and Carson, and also you have Jaden Thompson, who has a Western Carolina offer. They're one of these teams that just play extremely hard. They play an up-tempo defensive pressure, and they just get after you. They were in our fall league, and basically they were very impressive and beat a lot of really good teams. They went undefeated and got upset by the team that basically won the championship, which was Liberty Heights varsity, which has a lot of post-grad kids on their team. So this team, the Central Cabarrus team, is for real. I would say they're going to be penciled in as one of my favorites to win the 3A state championship along with West Charlotte.
You heard it from the guru. Alex, you said you had one team you wanted to add in there.
Yes, along the lines of what Rick just said about Central Cabarrus out of the West being a 3A contender. Very, very excited about this 3A classification statewide. Let me throw in a team from the East who, like Central Cabarrus, didn't make the poll, but it's going to be right in the mix again. You saw South Central in the poll. South Central dropped down to 3A this year. West Carteret. West Carteret was the 3A runner-up last year, led by 6'8" pivot man Jackson Ellingsworth and 6'4" swingman Shane Graves, trio of legit guards in Dylan McBride and J.J. Montford and Rob Cummings, a couple of players off the bench. West Carteret will visit South Central next Monday, November 22nd, to open the season down in Winterville, right outside.
Could we see West Carteret, West Charlotte, Central Cabarrus in the state championship? One of those?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to go down to Winterville, right outside of Greenville, for that game next Monday. That's quite a way to open the season right there.
Yes, it is.
So West Carteret in the East, Central Cabarrus, as Rick said, in the West, in terms of that just super competitive 3A league. I mean, you're seeing teams who couldn't even make the poll, who could lift a trophy at the end of the season.
All right. Well, Rick, let's take a look at your preseason boys super team.
Well, I mentioned Jalen Curry earlier. I think he's the best passing point guard in the country. He reminds me of Kendall Marshall with the pitch ahead pass, but he's very underrated as a defender. And the area that he's improved the most is his perimeter shooting. I think he's going to be really key for Chambers this year. I think he'll lead them to the state championship. ML Collins last year this time probably didn't even have a Division I offer. Is going to VTech. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's strong. He's explosive. One of these guys that can really create a shot off the dribble. Might be a better college player than he is high school player, but he's going to help Westminster, compete for a state 2A championship. Now, the next two guys are guys a lot of people across the state may not have heard about, but you're talking about Paul Mcneill, plays for Gardner Road, and he's also out of Rockingham, North Carolina, for Richmond Senior.
I've heard of Paul Mcneill. I've never heard of Jaron Stevenson. Gary, you're going to like what he's about to say about Jaron Stevenson. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, Paul Mcneill, talking to Dwayne West at Gardner Road, told me, he said, Rick, this might be one of the best players to ever play for Gardner Road. And I said, you got to be kidding me, because you have T.J. Warren and Devontae Graham, who's both in the NBA. He said, Rick, watch out for this kid. The young man is 6'6", 6'7", long, athletic, a small, slender waistline. He just has all the pedigree, the physical attributes, but the guy can shoot the cover off the ball. He has three-point range. I mean, he's standing 5 feet behind the three-point line, and he'll knock down 5, 6, 7 threes a game. Now, the next guy, Jaron Stevenson, he played last year for Northwood, and they were runner-up to Weddington. He's 6'9", 6'10". His mother played at UNC. His dad played at Richmond, and his dad is now the coach at Seaford High School, which is a new high school down near Chapel Hill. He's young for his grade, and the young man has a size 19 shoe. You're
skipping the headline for Gary. Who's offered him?
He already has an offer from UNC and Wake Forest.
I would think so if his mom played there.
I think Paul Mcneill and Jaron Stevenson, when it's all said and done, when they're seniors, they could be top 10 kids nationally. Some publications already have both of those young men in top 25 nationally.
I hope they stay in North Carolina. Rick, on the other side, there's one guy that really catches my eye, Xavier Mckelvey. A lot of people don't talk about him, but he is an absolute scoring machine, right?
I call him my little Superman because he's 6'2" and he plays above the rim. Although he's explosive and athletic, and he does play above the rim quite a bit, he does have the ability to hit the three-pointer, the mid-range. He's a three-level scorer, and he's also a really, really good defender. He's the complete package. He's going to Winthrop, and in my opinion, Winthrop got a tremendous steal in Xavier Mckelvey. I think a lot of people looked at him, and they looked at his size, but the thing about Mckelvey, a lot of these guys, he has really long arms. He has like a 6'5" wingspan, He plays much bigger than his listed height, and he's going to help, in my opinion, lead United Faith to the state championship in the NCISAA 1A division.
Wow. All right. Well, you heard it from the guru. Rick, thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll look forward to having you every week to spread the wisdom like Chris Hughes does. I got a guru in football. I got a guru in basketball. I'm just lucky.
He's better.
I was going to say the same thing. He's better.
That would have been so great if he'd be like, yeah, I am better.
He is.
I would have been like, yes, that is crazy.
No, we're extremely lucky on this show to have the two, in my opinion, preeminent voices of high school football and basketball. All right, it's time. People are texting me. What's going on with Mr. Football? We're about to.
Well, as you can see, we have got the list down to 8 gentlemen here from around the state of North Carolina, really from east to west. We've just about geographically got them covered from western North Carolina all the way down to the coast. No surprise with some of these men, and they do play like men, by the way. We've seen them on the field all year. Some of them are just putting up astronomical numbers. Both on offense and some of these guys on defense, just in how they control the game and change how offenses have to play around them. But just kind of throw them out there. Byron Brown, quarterback at Rollsville. He was on the finalists last year. Gavin Gosnell is new to the list. Incredible offensive output. Led his team to an enormous win over Burns Friday night in the second round of the 2A playoffs. Wesley Grimes, again, what he's done straight up. Fantastic. Omarion Hampton, I mean, good gosh, we saw him on here tonight. He does, to me, and I've said this before, he looks like he could contribute today at the collegiate level. I think he's a year one impact player. Looking there on the right side of the field, page, James Pierce at Chambers. Again, one of those defensive guys that you just absolutely have to control. And if you're an offensive coordinator, know where he's at on the field at every time because of the way he disrupts that line of scrimmage. Kanye Roberts, I believe he's one of the top 1 or 2 scorers in the state of North Carolina down there at Wallace Rose Hill. Got a big game Friday against Steve Stupland. Dalen Smothers, hey, what can we say about Hollywood? And Jalen Walker, again, the Georgia Bulldog-bound defensive lineman at linebacker at Salisbury.
Gary, you have not seen this list, unlike some of us on here. What are your thoughts as you see it?
Well, I saw Pierce and Smothers on Friday night, and they lived up to the billing. I mean, Pierce he totally disrupted everything that Hickory Ridge was trying to do on the perimeter as well as the passing game. He was like a one-man wrecking crew. Their whole defense played well, but he was noticeable. And then Smothers just took over in the second half. They just direct snapped the ball to him or sent him in motion and direct snapped it to KC Concepcion. And those two just put on a show. Yeah. So all the accolades that they get, they are deserving of.
Dale, any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, it was kind of curious to see Huddy Dimes dropped. Otherwise, the list was real good.
I was telling everybody it's Huddy Dimes is Tad Hudson.
He looked good Friday night.
That's Kansas guy. No, he did. He looked good. Only played a half, but 3 touchdowns. Looked really, really good. Real quick, guys, before we move on, Shrine Bowl rosters came out today. They're South Carolina. I just wanted to show the rosters. Some Dutch Fork kids on there. Myrtle Beach has a quarterback, offensive lineman. Let me get up the other side of South Carolina and let you guys take a look. There's not going to be a game. They're just announcing the rosters. Almost seems kind of weird that they're not going to have a game because it seems like
they're having the Carolina Bowl. I think it's taking the place of it.
Yeah, I mean, the second year in a row with no Shrine Bowl, obviously, I'm certainly missing out. I miss calling that game on ESPNU. And so it's tough. Hey, seeing the South Carolina roster, the big news also came out, and I know it's not Shrine Bowl related, but a former Shrine Bowl coach over at Dorman High School, Dave Gutshaw, used to, change the game up at Burlington Cummins. He announced his retirement today after 50 years of coaching.
Yeah, Pete Gilchrist is one of my good friends in the coaching world. That was one of his mentors growing up. He always talked about Dave Gushaw. All right, let's look at the North Carolina side, which we know a little bit more about. The quarterbacks are two guys we're very familiar with, been on the Mr. Football list. We just had Omarion Hampton on here just a second ago. And you guys can see the rest of the list. League Knox, no surprise there. David Reed, a little bit of surprise to me. He had a great year to be on that list. And Chase Gist, another guy we featured. A lot of guys we featured on this list. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Kind of surprised not to see Wesley Grimes and Jacob Newman on here.
And it may be they're playing other All-Star games. The Shrine Bowl is not like it used to be, where
they're not playing it. I don't know. And
exactly, they're not playing the game. So what does it matter?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jake Reed, tight end for Hickory Ridge. Hickory Ridge doesn't even have a tight
end. Dude, I'm putting up what they put up.
Yeah,
they don't want a tight end.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just putting up.
The best place they could put him, maybe.
When we name our team, Gary, you can fix all that. We got our super team coming in. You guys get to pick it and make it right. All right,
those are basically all-state teams, so I don't know what playing in a all-star game would have to do with it. But
here's the defensive side of the ball. My man Jason Chambers on there. Keyshawn Monk, we talked about a lot on Grice's Gyms, and Santana Hopper's been at Grice's Gym. Eli Hall's been at Grice's Gym. You guys pick well, right?
No, I mean, and that's the thing I see here. I mean, we've had Mac David was on our early watch list. Carter Wyatt, same way. I mean, of course, we all know about Jalen Walker there. I mean, you got a lot of guys that we've noticed and that have had some big games this year. So, I definitely like the list and think it's, it's appropriate based on that. I mean, you look at Hopper, Eli Hall. I mean, I think the areas are appropriately represented for sure. I mean, it's obviously tough to choose a roster like this across the state, but, I think they've got a lot of key names on there.
I almost like to see the Shrine Bowl come back to Charlotte. It just seems like it gets lost.
It would do better, I think.
It would do way better.
It would blow up. It would be enormous again.
So maybe now that the fact that it hadn't played for 2 years, there's an opportunity to push that button. We got to get the North Carolina Shriners back involved and want to be involved in
I
it.
just can't imagine if I'm in Raleigh how big a deal the Shrine Bowl is. We got my man Will Hart on here from
What's up, guys? How you doing?
How you doing, Will?
Well, is the Shrine Bowl a big deal to kids these days, Will? Is it still a big thing for you guys? Is that like a goal? I got to be in the Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, I'm doing actually the Queen City Senior Bowl, which is like just a thing around Charlotte. And I didn't sign up for the Shrine Bowl, but I just did the Queen City Bowl. But, I mean, there's just a bunch of bowls you can do now. So.
Hey, Will, what's up, big dog?
What's up? How you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm a big fan of yours, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I live right down the road from, the closest high school to my house is Porter Ridge, and I keep an eye on you guys. Every time someone picks against you, I don't pick my own games correctly, but I've been picking your games.
We're gonna get to that.
I've been picking your games pretty correct. So
I appreciate that.
8 pancakes. Wow.
Well, tell us about going up to Grimsley. Travis Shaw was back. I mean, is he a monster? I mean, what's it like trying to deal with him?
Yes, sir. Him and Tamori, they're both great players. It was a battle all night, but we thought we could just come in there and out-physical them. And
yes,
I thought we did a good job. We rushed for 300 yards, and it was a really just great team win all around.
Yeah, how difficult do you think it is for teams to prepare for you guys, with that kind of option style wing tee kind of, I don't know what you guys call it, but, they kind of phone booth football is what Grice calls it. But how difficult is that for other teams, you think?
I think it's difficult just because we run it's just triple pretty much, but we do some other things in pro where we can pass the ball. We have a great quarterback in Miles, and we can just do a lot of different things, and it's a lot to prepare for in a week.
How about that? Back-to-back good quarterbacks. One of them best in the NCAA. Then you got the guy you got now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell everybody, back in 2017, I don't know, it was like ages ago when we played against you guys in the second round, I believe it was. I thought your coaching staff did such a phenomenal job. It was the hardest game we had the entire state playoffs. They were really good.
Yeah, Coach Hurts and Coach Schmidt and all the guys do a great job every week.
No doubt.
Yeah. Will, so you playing Chambers this weekend. They really seem to kind of find their swagger the last couple of weeks. What do you guys have to do to go beat 2-time champs?
Watch it now. They'll make a video about you.
Yeah, I do think they're a really great team. They have a lot of great athletes, and I just think we have to do what we do best and stick to the game plan and just execute. And then it's going to be a good game, and wherever momentum goes to, just execute, and it's going to be a good game.
To me, it's kind of like two teams that kind of like to play the same type of style. Chambers wants to kind of pound you in the middle. You guys want to pound you in the middle. So it's kind of going to be a, who can pound who the worst, or pound first in this game.
Sure.
But how cool is it to be playing this time of year? There's so few teams playing now. Everybody's watching you. I'm sure mom and dad are watching. Grandma's probably tuning in. I mean, how cool is it to be playing right now?
Well, actually, this is my first playoff run ever, so it's like really awesome for me.
Yeah.
It's just, it feels different. Practices are different. It's just more tense, more upbeat, and everybody's good. So you got to bring it every week and try to go 1-0 every week.
So, well, I've been telling the guys about my guy Danny Kennedy out there, and I think that his coming out party in a little bit of ways was that Grimsey game. He's been doing it all year, but can you talk about him and the impact you think he may have in this big time game? Because I think he's the X factor.
Yeah, Danny's great. He's a sophomore, which is crazy. He's just wicked fast. He can turn a 5-yard play into a touchdown, and hopefully he will have some of those this Friday. That'll help us out a little bit.
My man.
Absolutely. Well, Will, man, we're about to run our Grison's Gems this week, and you actually were a Grison's Gem. So
yes, sir. You balled. You got the call, baby.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on with us, man. Good luck on Friday.
All right. I appreciate that, guys. Have a good one.
All right now. Here's Grison's Gems.
All right, Coach Grice, so my phone's been ringing a lot. I know my Twitter dings have been going off. I know yours probably as well. We got a lot of guys shooting us messages because, hey, it's the second round this past week, moving into the third round of the playoffs, and we've had a lot of guys putting up those can't-miss performances because, hey, let's just face it, the seasons are on the line, and you either ball out or you go home and play basketball. So,
I'm getting things at 1 a.m., Guru. 1 a.m., guys are hitting me up saying, I balled. Can I get the call? Guys are just, reaching out. I mean, it's great, but I'm trying to go to sleep. But that lets you know the urgency in these performances and guys wanting you to know, hey, my team is still playing. We're trying to go out here and make major things happen. Glad to get these guys on here, and these were some amazing performances. And we've got guys all over. Got a guy playing 8-man football, got an offensive lineman, got some guys from some prominent high schools. I mean, we covered it all, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, let's start right here in the heart of the Queen City. Chambers High School, Kevin Concepcion. This guy had almost 100 yards rushing, had 58, 60 yards receiving, ran a touchdown back from a punt return. This guy just played a complete football game in a big win over Hickory Ridge Friday night. Kevin Concepcion, he is the real deal.
I mean, and I think that's why, this guy has a ton of offers because of his versatility. I mean, he's a kid that we all know that can get the ball in his hands whichever way possible. Coach Farabee, his coaches over there are going to do that for him. So, again, not a shocker that Concepcion is a Grice's gym because he balls every week. It's just in a big-time game when they needed him the most, he showed up huge and really showed up and outshone every other player on that football field. I think he was the best one on the field that night. That's why he got the call.
No kidding. Yeah, no, complete ball game. Stakes, high stakes. Had to win. He came through. So congrats to the Chambers team. Concepcion, well done. Hey, let's move on now. You mentioned the 8-man rank. So we're going to talk about a young man up from Cary, North Carolina, Chide Ogan, Cary Christian. Put up some amazing numbers in 8-man football. And by the way, I just want to throw it out there. 8-man football, do not get a misconception that it's not real football because I've seen some bona fide D1 Power 5 players come from 8-man football. I think, if anything, it's a tougher brand of football because you really have a lot of open space. So tell me about this guy, Coach.
Oh, man. I mean, I think it's, having a guy like this, again, you see how dynamic he is out here. 8-man football, these guys are going to play both ways. I mean, you see, again, he had 17 carries, 259 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Huge game, but also 17 tackles on the defensive side of the ball. There's no rest over here. There's no going to the sidelines and chilling and hanging out. If you're a guy that can ball, if you're a guy that's doing this, whether it's 8 or it's 11, we're going to have you on the field the entire game. Big win for those guys. And again, in the championship game, there's a reason why he got the call here. And this was a major victory for Kerry Christian. And congrats on that championship. He was the reason why.
Absolutely. And again, I'm a huge proponent of 8-man football. I think that it is what's probably, I think would look good in our 1A ranks. But anyway, hey, this ain't a 1A player right here. Let's talk about a man amongst boys in the 4A ranks. Omarion Hampton, Cleveland High School. We've talked about this young man all year, just putting up amazing numbers. I think he's going to be a year one contributor for the Tar Heels. But let's look at his performance here against Laney on Friday.
I mean, he already looks like it in the Tar Heel blue over here. I mean, he seems like he fits right in. Again, we've talked about this guy all year. We've said this even in our Mr. Football segment, but it applies here. When you get to this point in the year, if you really are a guy that's one of the best in the state, we need to see it happen right now. We need to see it in the playoffs against top competition, against playoff eligible teams, and he did just that. I mean, you talk about, having 20 carries, 182, and 6 touchdowns on the ground, also having a pass reception for a score. I mean, it's a guy that's doing it big. And I mean, again, he's not a 1A player, as you said, Guru. He's a Power 5 player, one of the best in the state, who, when it's this time of year, as we're getting close to Thanksgiving, he's showing you exactly who he is and what his team's about to do. So I'm looking forward to them continuing to make a deep run with him as the guy you're going to need to stop if you want to be victorious.
No kidding. And I know the segment's about Omarion Hampton, but we got that glimpse of Skylar Locklear as well. He's the hidden gem on that team. I'm glad to get a chance to see both of them play because that's a phenomenal team coming out of the East. They're going to have a good chance of making it further down the road. We'll see. Now let's go to a team that has just got an amazing offensive line. That line fueled the victory over Grimsley on Friday night. Yeah, the Grimsley team that had won about 23 straight ball games. But Will Hart, offensive lineman, paved the way for 300 yards rushing. I love that camera view. Tell us about it, Coach.
Oh, love the butt shot. You're able to see exactly what's going on. Again, we're going to get guys all over, man. We looked at this game, thought Porter Ridge, I thought it was going to be a tricky game. I think I said that on the segment. It was going to be a tricky game for them because of the option. Even with an aggressive defensive line, an option attack is going to be what can help you be successful. This guy, again, showed you why he's good against one of the top defensive lines. I think he recorded him as 8 pancake blocks, which is, going to be the reason why he was successful. I mean, when you dominate a defensive line such as Grimsley, create those lanes for your running backs, there's no reason, we understand why they were successful in this game. Glad we could highlight Will Hart, one of the best offensive linemen on a team with a potent rushing attack. They're still playing, and that's why, because they had a great offensive line. Will Hart was the standout for that group.
Absolutely. A great job, again, to Will Hart and that entire Porter Ridge team. They got their hands full Friday night, but you look at that offensive line, they very well may be up to the challenge. And finally, let's go to the 2A ranks, 2A West. I was breaking down the film last night up late looking at football, and this guy may have had one of the best high percentage nights I've seen in a while in a sudden death playoff game. Dalen Lee leading the Shelby Golden Lions, connected on 17 of 22 passes for 500 yards, Coach, and a big win over a really, really good and a really physical Polk County team.
I mean, we talk about the lineage of great Shelby quarterbacks, and Dalen Lee is getting an opportunity to put himself right in the pantheon of these great QB performers. I mean, 500 yards off 17 of 22 passing. It fits the Grice's Gym's QB checklist. I mean, high yard total, high completion percentage. It's no secret why he's here. I mean, we've talked about this guy and used all the superlatives here, but what a great performance from a top player, one of the best in 2A ball. And if he keeps on, I think we've got to at least consider him for the Mr. Football watch list. But a great performance by Dalen Lee. Shelby's doing what Shelby does this time of year. Nobody's surprised, but we knew a performance like this is going to make it look pretty easy.
No kidding. He looks great. They got a good chance of moving forward. I love it this time of year when the first frost comes about, those beautiful green Bermuda grass fields turn black or turn brown, and a team like Shelby, they paint those lines black. You know that it is deep playoff football when you see those highlights.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, again, as we talk about, this crop of Grice's Gyms is great. Playoff time, you're going to get amazing performances, and that's what's got me most excited. These performances aren't against, Joe Bob University. These are some great teams that are playoff eligible. And we say, again, the games keep getting bigger and bigger. So these numbers and these performances show you some really top performers, and the cream's going to rise to the crop. again, hey, this week, whether I win or I lose, my phone's still on. I'm checking you guys. Let me know if you're Grice's gym, if you balled or your team went, your team did well. Heck, even in a losing effort, if you were really carrying your team and almost had an upset, at Coach Jay Grice, at Guru Chris Hughes, at Langston Wirtz Jr., at Observer Preps. Let us know. Give us your yards. Give us your film, whatever we need. Hey, it's getting close to Thanksgiving. You want to be playing on Thanksgiving, your team's going to need your best performance. When you do that, let us know and hit us up. Ball, so you can get the call.
I carry my phone with me everywhere, guys. So hit us up. Again, another week of Grice's Gyms. Coach, good luck this week in your game. Hopefully, I'm sure your team might put out a couple of Grice's Gyms as well. But for all the players out there, we appreciate covering you. We'll get you guys next week. All right, guys, let's take a look at the private school playoffs here. Got some state championships going to be played this week. There you see the Division I final, Raven Gap. 9-2, going to take on Coach Chad Greer's Providence Day Chargers. And then there you see the D2 final, the Cabarrus Warriors. I've been telling you guys about them. An incredible football team are going to go down to the far southeastern reaches of North Carolina. Harold's Christian, the 11-1 Crusaders down there. Hey, let's hear about it.
I mean, Raven Gap and Providence Day, that's a big-time game. I mean, they played earlier in the year, and it was a very tight game. It's going to see a lot of coaching adjustments. So if you really appreciate coaching a whole lot, that's a big game to go to because both of them studied each other. They've played against each other. Now let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's where I'm going Friday night.
Big game.
It's going to be a big game. I'm excited to see it. I mean, Jordan Shipp, Grant Logan, who we've had on here, some big-time guys from Providence Day that are going to need those big performances if they want to win. Hard to beat a team twice, but, it's going to be on the backs of those two players if they're going to be successful again.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the other game. Those two teams have played already this year.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So who won the first meeting?
Harold's.
Oh, they did. Was it like
but it was a one-score game.
Touchdown game.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very close game.
QB Tyler Green for the Warriors. He's going to need to have a big one. One of my favorite Twitter accounts, Ty Beats Losing. He's got to do everything he can to win that one. But I like them. I think they have a great shot to win.
Yeah, I like Will Jones as well. But, hey, guys, let's take a look at the 1A playoffs entering the third round Friday. Starting to heat up a little bit. I still think we're a week away from some of those epic matchups that are going to define this playoff bracket and this football season. But we'll start here with the West. Murphy, they're the defending state champions from the spring football season, going on the road to take on the number one team in the state. Coach Burton Cates' Eastern Randolph team. Eastern has been undefeated. They've had some big wins over some big teams. North Rowan or Robbinsville, that's going to be a contrast of styles. Thomasville and Mitchell may be the best game in the 1A ranks, especially on that western bracket. Starmount, they're getting good at the right time. They're going up to Mount Airy, though. Mount Airy has been scary good. And then let's just take a look at the eastern bracket. Perquimans at Tarboro, Rosewood at Northampton, Pender County at Northmore. That's kind of the game I really like on the east. And then south side and north side, that's the Anchor Bowl. It's going to be a good game as well.
Is that the Anchor Bowl part two?
Wait, no, hold on. I may be wrong about that. I can't remember if the Carteret schools or the Beaufort schools played the Anchor Bowl. But either way, incredible rivals. The county's separated by the sound that comes up there to Washington. And you got the north side of the county and the south side of the county. Really cool.
All right, let's take a look at
Mount Airy has allowed 18 points so far this year in 12 games. I'm ready to see what they're going to do. I like them a lot in that 1A bracket.
That's crazy. What you got in your rankings here, Chris?
Well, really, you don't have a whole lot of changes, but I think that's going to change this week. But again, Eastern Randolph undefeated, Mount Airy right there, hot on their trails in Tarboro. Let's not forget about those multi-time defending state champion Tarboro Vikings there in Eastern North Carolina. And then north side, remember they lost to Murphy 14-7 in May. Those top four, maybe five teams have really separated themselves. Robbinsville kind of got down early. They played a tough schedule for a 1A school, played some 3A and 4A schools, but they seem to be getting right at the right time. Thomasville, their traditional power, they've really gotten better. with Coach Gillespie. Northmore's a team all year. I hadn't really seen them face some strong competition, but they're really solid. And then against Southside, they play Northside Friday.
Any surprises to you so far, Chris, in the 1A brackets? Anything that?
Not at all. I've had, I think, only one game all in the entire bracket was won by a lower seeded team.
It's all just kind of chalk. Huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's look at the Baby Fight Club, Grace.
That's correct.
It is. I mean, it really is that Baby Fight Club. And look at these two teams, East Gaston. I mean, look at the year that Coach Postel has done over there. Great year. We got to go on the road, though, and take on those Golden Lions. We know that's going to be a tough game. Hendersonville at Reedsville, that may be, I don't know. You got Salisbury and Maiden. Between those two teams, just some incredible football being played this week in the 2A. Of course, let's not forget about Coach Johnny Sal's Monroe Redhawks going up to East Surrey. And then looking at the east side, not necessarily as top-heavy this week, but Nash Central, they are going to go take on Princeton. Princeton had that big win against Kinston Friday night. That was big for them. St. Paul's and Whiteville, somebody's going to have to lose finally out of that two team. Then also Washington. By the way, Washington's not undefeated, but they're still pretty good going up to Northeastern, who is just really scary good. And then Wallace Rose Hill at East Duplin. Again, two teams that are just phenomenal at what they do. They both kind of run that phone booth wing tee football. It's hard to know who's got the football sometimes, but they're really good and athletic.
I know we picked a different game for our game of the week, but you talked about Salisbury and Maiden. Is it going to be that Maiden passing offense against the Salisbury defense? Is that what that's coming down to, Chris?
I think so. And Maiden's offense is really clicking. Remember, Salisbury had their way with them last year. But Maiden, I feel like the offense is a whole lot better. That's a more seasoned team. I just really like this Maiden team a lot. Salisbury's offensive line also is just not quite as strong as it had been in the past 2 years with them going to the state championship. But when you got Jalen Walker in that defense, the way they've been playing, that certainly makes up for any deficiencies.
Yeah, that's a top 5 matchup there in your rankings here.
Yeah, no kidding. And there you see it, Reedsville again, winners of, I think, 31 straight, 32 straight, Northeastern, Salisbury, Shelby. Again, all blue bloods here in 2A football. Maiden, biggest little football town in America. Hendersonville, after that huge win over Burns, Whiteville, Monroe, St. Paul's, and Princeton rounding out the top 10. I mean, Grice is right. I mean, this is the mini fight club. I mean, every single one of these teams that's ranked could potentially come away with this state championship.
That's pretty impressive. All right, before we get into our 3A and 4A, let's see who the fresh faces are. There's one guy on here they gave me a hard time about. They said it wasn't a fresh face, but since we hadn't told you guys about Noah Rogers, he's a fresh face. Here we go.
All right, Coach Grice, here we are again, another week, another round deeper into the playoffs. Hey, you're still coaching in the playoffs. That's pretty fresh.
1 week away from Thanksgiving. I've played the weekend of Thanksgiving. I'm trying to coach the weekend of Thanksgiving. We're 1 week away, baby.
I've coached 2 Thanksgiving days, best feeling ever as a coach. And I know that's what you guys are trying to get to. But anyway, hey, we got a lot of players that are trying to get Thanksgiving practices. Let's talk about some fresh ones here. My favorite segment, your favorite segment, here it goes, Fresh Faces. And the first guy we're going to talk about here today, we're going to go up to Colonelsville Glen, talk about that crazy game between Myers Park, that 54-53 victory that the Glen Bobcats had over Myers Park. And he threw, if I'm not mistaken, this young man threw 3 interceptions early in the game, got down 35-14 before just having the most amazing rally, throwing, I think, 4 touchdowns, probably about 1,000 yards in that game to get the Bobcats back in and ultimately win. And talk about this guy, Coach.
Oh, my goodness. I was coming down the mountain and saw this score and then read the article later. I mean, what an amazing job and what great resilience. 3 interceptions in the game, but leading your team back and having a never say die attitude as a senior. I always talk about this time of year where seniors just having that attitude of, I don't want this to be my final game. as a quarterback getting the ball in your hands every play, he had that ability to impact the game and bring his team back from such a big deficit. Throwing for over 300 yards in this game is no secret as to why they won this football game, and it was on the back of Camden Coleman. So glad we can highlight him here on this segment. But, I mean, what a great performance and a huge win for Glenn.
Yeah, Camden Coleman, just looking at the highlights, he's a guy that I would want leading my team. I mean, just tremendous grit and just moxie by him in the face of elimination. He had that black trash bag about to pack up his stuff. He kept going. Big time for him. Let's move on down now to Porter Ridge. Now, you talk about a fresh face. This is a fresh face, a sophomore that don't play like a sophomore anymore. Danny Kennedy. Man, he was a do-everything player, rushing yards, receiving yards, and by the way, he helped fuel a big-time upset over Grimsley. Tell us about that guy, Coach.
Hey, big time. He's fresh to you. He's old to me. He plays on our 7-on-7 team. This kid has been a bubbling secret, that's now kind of come on the stage in a big way. We talked about Porter Ridge. Everyone talks about their option attack. This is a guy that can go vertical and make a big play in a game here. I mean, one of the fastest players on their team. Even though he's a young guy, he's been one that you got to watch out for. With that great speed, he can turn a simple play, as we see here, balls on the ground. He was able to make it into a big return against a big-time team. So I'm ready to see him on the big stage against Chambers this week. But, you already know that if they're going to have a big play, it's going to be because of Danny Kennedy. Sophomore, playing like it's his senior year, and he didn't want to leave either, Guru.
All right, let's move now to the private school ranks. Team that I talked about last week during our program, saying do not sleep on these guys, and that is Xander Lamb, the Cabarrus Warrior team. There you see them right there. Had 165 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in their state semifinal win over Metro Atlanta Christian.
Oh, definitely. When we talked about this team, I mean, Coach Jamie Bolton's got these guys going. We've highlighted the quarterback in Green in many ways here. You see why he's had such great numbers. I mean, Xander Lamb looks like a big-time guy out there as far as size-wise. He's able to go get the deep ball, and it looks like he has the speed to stretch the defense. But, Tyler Green definitely is, looks like he's confident in just throwing that ball up there. Doesn't matter who's around. He knows Lamb's going to come down with it.
Yes. Good-looking player. Huge win. Again, I see this team continuing to look good. Got another big game coming up this week. And then finally, you know what? And this guy, let's be real. This next guy is a fresh face, but he really is not a fresh face. I watched him put on a show in the state championship game last year. Noah Rogers has 1,000 yards plus receiving, 18 TDs. He was a dynamite player in their victory over Newman Friday night. Tell me about this receiver.
I mean, what's to say that we haven't all seen? I mean, everybody that watched the state championship game saw that this guy was just amazing here. Again, he's only a junior. He is only a junior in this film, which means he has so much room to get better and better. But I feel like I've seen this guy even at, during youth ball. I mean, he's been a guy that no matter what stage he's been on, he's been one of the best players on the field, and it's continuing. We've noticed their resurgence. We've noticed, as Guru, you would say, the buku numbers that they've been putting up lately. We know Byron Brown's had a great performance. He's definitely going to get the ball to his guy here. And I mean, look at this amazing play. Feel like he's getting out of a group of players to make a big time return here. So he might be a quote unquote fresh face because we haven't had him on the segment, but he ain't new to anybody that's been watching football here the past year.
I've seen a lot of receivers in my days, coached a lot of receivers. This guy right here has what I think is going to lead him to a playing career on Saturdays at a big time level.
Definitely agreed.
All right, man. Well, there we go. That's another week of fresh faces here as we move into the third round, make that the third round of the high school football playoffs. For Coach Grice, I'm the Guru. We'll catch them next week.
All right, maybe we'll have like Dalen Smothers next week. Langston as a fresh face. Like maybe he's been
on the show before. Chris, real quick, 3A playoffs.
Hey, real quickly, Forest View, it's a team that I predicted. I'm not trying to give South Point any bulletin board material, but Forest View in my initial bracket was a team I had going to the fourth round of the playoffs. That was an overtime game against South Point a few weeks ago. That is going to be an epic ball game played over there in Gaston County. Again, I can't sing the praises enough of Gaston football this year. North Davidson at Crest, big game Kings Mountain at Dudley. Sam can tell you about that Kings Mountain team. They're very good. They're going to have their hands full with the Dudley Panthers, who may be the best team in the 3A ranks. High Brighton at Statesville. Statesville's undefeated, a team that I've seen get better week to week to week. Looking over there to East, Westover going on to Eastern Alamance, Jacksonville at Lee County, Greenville Rose and 71st. That's going to be a big game to watch. I could see an upset in that one maybe. And then Scotland County going on to Northern Nash. Again, I think Scotland may be the team to get out of this bracket, but you never know.
Scotland, wow, that would be pretty huge. Sam, we're going to pause right here. A lot
Give
of
him one shot.
Giving you a hard time.
Don't one-shot me. Don't one-shot me.
Give him the one. I mean, we don't have to play.
A lot of people giving you a hard time on social media this week because of your comments last week. What do you have to say to the Kings Mountain faithful?
Well, I mean, I tell you what, if you don't know who I am by now, then if you watch the show, I'm gonna be direct. I'm gonna hype up my team. I believe in West Charlotte Lions. I feel like if we played again, we'd win. Just the way I communicate things. Now, I got the most respect for the Kings Mountain players and staffs. They are top notch, and they deserve to win. We did not play well. I know I made the comment about, we just got to play good and we'll win. We don't have to play great. We didn't play well. And then as soon as I did the show, the next day I lost 3 defensive starters, and it hurt. It's really bad stopping the run. And they beat us the worst way to lose, running the ball just strictly down our throat. Like, we couldn't do nothing. It was devastating. Couldn't stop them at all. And it was kudos to them because they played smash mouth football. They're a traditional program, and we weren't ready to take them down yet. But I look forward to, the next few years getting to compete against them.
All right. Well, there's the mea culpa from my man Sam. Let's see your rankings, Chris.
And I'm just going to say this. I was at that game. I watched both teams. I love what I see at that West Side program. West Charlotte's going to be really good here in the coming years, so do not worry about what Coach Griner's got going on. But anyway, there you see them. Greensboro, Dudley, number 1, Fayetteville, 71st, number 2, Statesville, Northern Nash, Eastern Alamance, Crest, Kings Mountain, Lee County, Scotland, and Jacksonville. As you see, several of these teams play one another this Friday night. So those rankings could jumble up moving into next week.
Well, we're getting close to the end, so people going to get shuffled around.
I'll tell you what, our bracket where it matched up is a very difficult bracket for Kings Mountain, for Dudley. I mean, it was dead man's curve right there. I felt like we had our own little mini fight club.
Don't use that word. No, before you were like, we don't have to play a great game. Don't call it Fight Club. Bro.
I mean, out of the 3A teams,
it's your own.
We had to beat Stuart Kramer, who was, an underrated team. They're very physical. You'd have to beat Kings Mountain. Then you'd have to be at Dudley. Then you probably anticipate you'd have to play at Statesville. Then probably you'd anticipate playing Crest. That is a hard road. That's a tough road, man.
Guru, drop those 4A, please.
No, you know what? I've been waiting
to
say to the Chambers people. He been talking about it. So Gary, before Chris gets into it, what do you got to say to Chambers folks?
What do I have to say to Chambers? Did I not say last week they were going to win the game? I said it won't be close for a while. It wouldn't go down to the last possession. It would be a good game, but Chambers would win. That's exactly what I said.
He did say that.
That's not the issue.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's not the issue. I said
that's the point. That's where your company needs to come from, man. Those guys are coaching too, man.
Say what now?
I said that's where the mea culpa needs to come from, man. That's the part where it was a little borderline, man.
You gotta look at it, Gary.
Guys out here coaching on both sides.
Hey, I'm not changing my mind about who has a better staff, but it doesn't matter who has a better staff. It's who got the better players. The coaches don't play.
You're gonna give them more bulletin board.
I don't care about that bulletin board.
And we're gonna talk about bulletin board a little bit later on. But let's let Chris go through it so we don't get too heavy. What you got, Chris?
All right, guys. Hey, I want to start at the East this time. Nightdale, they're a team that is getting right at the right time. Coach Anthony Timmons, that bunch, they're going down to Leesville Road, who knocked off the Raiders in Raider Stadium Friday night. That was a shocking win, sent some shockwaves across the 4A ranks. Rollsville at Millbrook. I think this is the best game featuring at least the best quarterback receiver combos in the state between Fortune to Grimes and then Brown to Rogers. So that's a good game to look at. Gibbons, let's see. Well, let's go Panther Creek at Hoggard. That's two teams that had some defensive slugfest last week. But then let's take a look at the West. I know we got a lot of people here in Charlotte that really want to know about this one. This Mallard Creek game at Huff. Sam, tell me what you think about this game because you've seen both of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think Huff is the best team in the state. They're amazing. They don't have any weaknesses on their team. Mallard Creek is peaking at the right moment. So I'm excited to see what Mallard Creek can do. Now, Mallard Creek's, front seven on defense is as good as anybody's. It's just they have some deciding factors on Huff that can change the game. I mean, you're not going to have a weakness in the kicking game. You're not going to have a weakness in throwing the football. You're not going to have a weakness in running the football. O-line, no weakness. Defensive line, maybe one of the best. It's just a very difficult game for Mallard Creek. But at the end of the day, Mallard Creek is peaking at the right time. And I'm excited to see if I went to a game, this is the game I would go to.
Absolutely. Let's go to Mallard Creek's own. He may be 704 paid, but he was 336 made. Coach Grice, tell me about these two big 336 teams, the Battle of Kernersville, round 2.
Oh my goodness! I mean that game, the first game, was my Grice Right game of the week, and it lived up to the billing with an overtime game. I mean, I'm expecting something very similar. I mean, both teams have shown how tough they are. Glenn with a major win over Myers Park. I mean, just oh my goodness! Like I didn't, unfortunately didn't see it, and I wish I had. The way they were able to come back. East Forsyth, I mean, we'd always talked about them being in 4 single A back in the subdivision, we had the subdivided 4A. I mean, they're doing the same thing now with this one big fight club. They're in the final 8 here in the West with a great shot to go into the final 4. Kudos to them. And I think this is a game you better bring your points. I mean, regardless of how cold it is, both teams have shown the propensity to score. And I think you're going to get that in this game, rematch in round 2.
No, I agree as well. Cuthbertson's a team that even with a bunch of losses this year, I had kind of kept in the 30s range in my extended football rankings. I knew that they were a gritty, a tough-nosed football team. They've had 2 big wins on the road, albeit against Watauga and Lake Norman last week. Dale, I know that they're good, but do they have enough to beat Weddington this week?
I saw them play South Meck, and I was highly impressed with what I saw. But they lost a lot of games early. They have certainly come together. The biggest thing that I see about this is when is Weddington going to see a team that they don't know as well as they know their brothers and sisters? Each way these two teams have played already. It was not a blowout. I think it was a 2-score game. Weddington's a great team. I think Cuthbertson's going to have to bring everything they've got and hope for some Weddington mistakes, which are, I think, very rare to be seen.
Yeah, very good analysis right there. I happen to agree with you right there. And then finally, Gary, you're very familiar with this Chambers team. They're going to have to take on a Porter Ridge team that went up to Greensboro Grimsley again, the defending state champions. They had won 24 games in their own right, and they're going to have to play an perfect assignment football against a team that executes that triple option very well. The strength of Porter Ridge is that fantastic looking offensive line. You've seen the pancakes and just how physical they are up front. What kind of problems do you think that's going to present to Chambers? Or is Chambers, they're just so good and athletic and, they seem to just flip a switch this time of year. Is it going to be an issue or are they going to get right through them to the 4th round, Gary?
Well, first of all, let me say I expect Chambers to win. Congratulations to Porter Ridge, but Greensboro football ain't Charlotte football. And they beat a Greensboro team. Now they got to beat a Charlotte team. And
some people on our panel thought Grimsley was the team to beat, though.
Oh, I know. They got the state's best player. But I don't know if a defensive lineman can control an entire offense the way they were running. It looked like there was a lot of double team blocking, but. That's last week. This week is a new challenge. Porter Ridge is always good on offense. Mm-hmm. They are always good on offense. I don't know how good they are on defense. And that's where they're really going to have to show themselves is stopping, Concepcion and Smothers. And those two were outstanding last week. They adjusted to what Hickory Ridge was doing at halftime, and it was a different game at after halftime. As I said last week, Hickory Ridge's dude was dependent on others to get him the ball. Chambers, they just snapped it right to Hollywood, or they snapped it right to KC. And so they know how to get their stars the ball.
So that was a good.
That sounds like good coaching, right?
Great coaching.
Up there, right?
That's great coaching. That's great coaching. That's an adjustment.
Look at Gary. Slimy with the lady.
You guys are too much.
Gary,
hey man, I'm tired, man. I've been watching film all night, man.
All right.
You can't come in.
Dale, what's your question?
Yeah, I'm just going to say you just gave Porter Ridge some ironing board material.
Okay, we're going to get to that. There's a lot of great games this week, guys. There can only be one game of the week.
You already know we had to choose. Hey, Roseville and Gibbons. Alex, where are you at? What's the address again? Oh, he's on mute. It was going to be perfect.
Yes, Cleveland High School, 1892 Polenta Road, Clayton, North Carolina.
Thank you.
I'll be there.
So again, Gibbons Cleveland game is going to be pretty big. I mean, the biggest thing for me, 3 keys I have. First, production from the supporting cast of both teams is going to be key. I mean, we know about Donovan Shepard for Gibbons. Has about 1,600 yards, 19 touchdowns. Of course, Omarion Hampton. I mean, the superlatives are long list there. Almost 2,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. We know those guys are going to get theirs. I mean, I liken it to some of the old top basketball games. Those guys are going to get theirs, but the supporting cast is going to be key. Connor Clark, the quarterback for Gibbons, he has over 2,000 yards, 24 touchdowns. What can he do? Can he be successful getting it to the triumvirate of Ian Evans, Shotwell, and Raphael? 3 receivers that have each about 400 to 600 yards. They like to spread the ball around. And I mean, even watching the Chambers game, earlier in the year, those all 3 are guys that can make big time catches when you need them. In this type of game, whoever's going to have the big explosive play, and those are going to be the guys that are going to do it for Gibbons. On the Cleveland side, I mean, we cannot neglect and not talk about Skylar Locklear. Again, he has I think it's 20 touchdowns, 1 pick. He only has 1 pick on the season. Just his efficiency and the way he's able to distribute the football, he's going to be key. Deshaun Middleton for them, receiver, 875 yards and 12 touchdowns. A guy that if everybody's loading up the box for Hampton, he's going to be the guy on the outside that can have the ability to make explosive plays. Number 2, can Gibbons stop an elite running back? I mean, Gibbons had a great schedule. They faced Hollywood, held them to under 100 yards, even though they gave up 2 touchdowns. Played Richmond County and Kellen Hood, who only had 103 touchdowns and 103 yards and a touchdown, which is definitely notable considering the games that he's had this year. Also, Leesville Road's DJ Scott. We had him as a Grice's gem. He is a high volume carry guy with a lot of yards. Held him to 27 carries for 94 yards. So again, they've played some top backs and some guys that we've highlighted here. So defensive coordinator Nick Drew is definitely going to have to, make sure he has things dialed up. He's ready to stop Amarion Hampton as best as he can, but ensure those other supporting cast members aren't able to, to be, make an impact on the game. And finally, we know Gibbons has faced talent. We've seen what they've done. They've played tough teams, and they've shown up pretty well, even in their losses. You're talking 8-point loss to Chambers. You're talking about a 3-point loss in overtime to Myers Park. Cleveland hasn't had that opportunity. It's no shade to them. It's not, not anything that they can help. But how do you adjust when you have to play your first 4-quarter game of the year? They haven't had that opportunity. We need to see that all of their players, I know Hampton's good for it. I'm not doubting him at all. But are all of their players, including their defense, ready to defend for 4 straight quarters, something they have not done all year? Gibbons is battle-tested. Cleveland isn't. We got to see if Cleveland's ready to go. All in all, this is going to be a great game. I'm excited to see Cleveland have the opportunity to show everybody, hey, we've had a light schedule, but we can match up with the state's elite. It's going to be a great one.
I personally think the winner of this comes out of the East.
I mean, with no Richmond, it's hard to argue. I mean, it's, I think Leesville's got something to say, though, but I agree. It's going to be tough.
Let me jump in on Coach Grice's question. Can Gibbons stop an elite running back? The answer is yes. September 20th, 2019, Cardinal Gibbons at Cleveland. Omarion Hampton was a sophomore. Now, of course, we all acknowledge Mr. Hampton's
Did you
prowess.
see that kid?
I said Mr. Hampton's prowess. Yes, Mr. Hampton is very impressive. I've seen him myself in person multiple times, including once this season, and he's a very personable young man, as we saw this evening, as I had an opportunity to interview him. But September 20th, 2019, you want to talk about the fires being stoked for this game right here. September 20th, 2019, Cardinal Gibbons defeated Cleveland 36-0 at Cleveland High School. Cardinal Gibbons is the last team to win a game at Cleveland High School, regular season or playoffs. Cardinal Gibbons and Nick Drew is the only defensive unit. If you want an explanation of Nick Drew's prowess as a defensive coordinator, Cardinal Gibbons, under the defensive coordination of Nick Drew, is the only team ever to hold Cleveland scoreless during the head coaching tenure of Cleveland coach Scott Riley, who is a Cardinal Gibbons graduate as well. So all of those things right there. But in terms of can Cardinal Gibbons, I won't say stop, but contain an elite offense like Cleveland? The answer is yes. The proof is in the pudding. And look for Nick Drew and his defensive unit to extend their prowess in this competitive game, which has all the makings of an instant classic both ways.
Outstanding, Alex. Hey, why I got the floor before we move on to the next shot, Langston, and you can go ahead and mark the tape, Langston, so you can cut this for the social media. Langston, he named me the guru, and when you have the notoriety, you got a lot of fame and all that, but you also bear a lot of responsibility, and I got to do a mea culpa of my own, because remember, it was in my brackets that I picked Grimsley and Richmond to go to the final, so I've got to fall on the sword for that one too. So go ahead and pepper me all over social media, guys, because I know that they're going to want to hear the guru say, hey, when I was wrong, but you know what? I'm man enough to will up and say, you know what? I was wrong. But anyway, guys, hey, we're in that big three shot, and you know what that means, gentlemen.
Lock the door, baby.
Lock the door.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
My favorite segment of the show. Sam, what you got?
I would really like if we got some Phil Collins theme music before we started this segment from now on, just like the drum part.
Hey, Sam, I got to throw it out here to you. It is 4 questions this week. I am going to remind you of that if you want to kick or receive.
I'm going to receive today.
All right, here we go. All right, Coach Griner, this is for you. Are you starting Cam Newton on Sunday against the Washington football team?
No doubt about it. It's not even close. Of course I'm starting him. He's not coming out of the game, actually. If you start him, he shouldn't come out of the game. Does he know the whole playbook? Probably not. Does he need to know the whole playbook? No. He brings a certain energy to the team. The energy is the deciding factor of how NFL teams are going, the momentum shift. Everybody is so good in the NFL, and I think he brings that extra edge to Carolina that they've been needing all year with that stellar defense that they have. Now they got a little bit of energy. It feels really good. I feel like we can make a run and make the playoffs. It'd be pretty special with Cam at the helm.
Griner, you're getting older, man. You don't have the same energy you had when you're younger. I love having him come in as a great change of pace. He doesn't know the offense completely yet, which is okay. It's completely understandable. He's coming into an offense that he's not completely familiar. I love the fact that it seems like they have a package for him that he's able to execute at a high level. And again, you put him in a situation where he's able to come in at certain moments in the game, give you what he's got, and then bring that back to PJ Walker. I think it accomplishes 2 things. One, it allows you to have a capable guy in PJ to make sure he's able to do everything he needs. But 2, if Cam you realize in the game he's not ready to go, you can't fall back on PJ Walker. But if there's a situation where PJ isn't ready and we're able to see that clearly, Cam's coming in like the relief pitcher, baby. And all of that energy that you need, that he's giving you those boosts, he's able to bring it for the rest of the game. And so again, another wrinkle, Ron Rivera's on the other side, baby. Who knows Cam better than Ron?
Yeah, and Washington Redskins had an opportunity to sign him as well, and they did not. So I think there's a little bit of chip on Cam's shoulder. Don't think there is not. And if Sam Darnold was playing, are you trying to say that he wouldn't play over Sam Darnold too? I'm curious.
The question. You see, that's the problem. You ain't read the question.
No, it's just
PJ Walker's the current starter. The current starter is PJ Walker.
I'm reading the question. I'm starting Cam. You're wrong, man. You don't pay a guy
PJ Walker's the current starter.
You don't pay a guy $10 million. You don't pay a guy $10 million with this much season to go.
They're 5 guaranteed.
They're paying Cam 10. They're paying Cam $10 million. They're paying Cam's replacement, his replacement's replacement. Now they're paying Cam again to replace him. So yeah, they're going to play Cam Newton. There's no question about it. But anyway, Coach Grice, you're back up again here. Question number 2 on Coach versus Coach. Should the NCISAA get rid of the East-West model that they're currently in with the playoff bracketing and just do a straight 1 through 64 so we can ensure that the best possible matchup of the best teams maybe play themselves out for the playoffs?
No, I disagree. I think with the way we're doing it, and again, the way we're doing it right now, we are getting some of the biggest upsets and some of these teams that may not be the best team, because I don't care about the best team unless I'm number 1. I don't want the best team. I want me to make it. And I think it's a great situation, and the better chances of upset are with familiar foes. And that's what I think you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of people that are familiar with another team that are giving them great effort, and that's the chances. Like if you're one of the favorites or you're one of the top teams, the pressure is on you to compete against guys that know you. And I think that's where you're getting the best football. I don't care about the best in these situations. I want the best quality football. And I think with this, with the big 4A and big, single division or non-subdivided brackets, we're getting some great football. Wouldn't you say that, Griner?
Definitely get some great football, but I would love to see them get away from the if you ask all the East teams, they would probably say, nah, keep it the same. You ask all the West teams in 3A, 4A, they'll be like, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Go ahead and mix that.
All the time. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Go ahead and mix that. Now, an East team can win it here and there. Ain't no doubt about it. And then I think 1A, they're one of the strongest, right? Or is it 2A? Guru.
Yeah.
Both of them. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, though. I mean, Richmond County was even on the West for a long time. Do you see what I'm saying? It was a very strong. I just think that it'd be kind of cool to go ahead. We pay the schools that are making it. It'd be kind of cool. Like, Charlotte teams are always going to play Charlotte teams. Wouldn't it be nice to go, near the beach and play a game and get the charter boats out there? Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Because I have a worse ranking because my regular season schedule was harder. That's crap. That's unfair.
What do you mean? Well, I'm trying to say, like, an East team can play a West team before the finals. That would be great.
I think
it'd be great, and then you get even Steven football.
They didn't play. They didn't play anybody.
Yeah, but we need to go by strength of schedule.
We all be higher then. There you go.
Again, unless you just ranked them top to bottom based off of winning record, the win-loss record, the subjectivity of however the rankings would be to establish that 164 would be too questionable for me. So, right now, it is what it is. We kind of take it as how it is. But Sam, with this next question coming right back at you, and be careful because you are a current head coach. I don't want you to be getting a nastygram from Mark Dreibelbus or anybody at the NCISAA for your answer. But how do you improve the officiating in high school football?
One easy reason or one way to do that would pay them more. Make it a competitive thing where a lot of people want to stay in officiating, and then you get better quality. I just think that we don't pay them quite enough. I think they should be making probably closer to like $150 a game compared to, like the 90-something bucks they make a game. They make more money going to the Pop Warner games on Saturdays. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that we need to pay them more. And then we can hold them accountable, get them through. Like if you pay them more, we can also get them more training, do certain things. Like the NFL is the NFL. They are trained up. Now they get paid really well. That's because they had the best officials. You start going to ACC, the SEC. They got really good officials. You don't see like certain things happening in those games. Now it'd be kind of cool. We have this sideline huddle thing now, right? It'd be kind of cool. I know the games don't want to go longer and stuff like that. It'd be kind of cool though if high schools could somehow go to the replay. You get one replay, throw your challenge flag in high school so that we can get some of these decisions, overturned. That would help out these guys a lot as well.
Man, I'm not going to your school where you got some 16-year-old pointing the camera over here and you trying to call that a catch. That is not what we're doing, Grant. Let me first say that. But for me, you know, kind of I put my auditor CPA hat on. Improving high school officiating, to me, I think it would work with transparency and how each referee is graded on a weekly basis. That's one of the bigger things for me. I mean, we get that as coaches where how we did is always reflected publicly by our win-loss record. You know, so I think for officials and even for us seeing a win-loss record, Griner, that's always a catalyst for me to work harder, for me to study harder, for me to do things because I want us to be perceived as a good football team. I think referees should have that same level of pride in their grades. If you're a referee that's graded out as a 90% or 95% based on what you did for 6 weeks, you know, I think you should be recognized. And again, we would see that and it's, in the playoffs, this guy deserves to get the high-profile game. That's one of the greatest things I look forward to in being able to coach in big-time games from when I was at Hopewell, that I see the difference in high-quality refs that are allowed to coach in bigger-time games between bigger teams. I don't think that's controversial to say. I think that's a statement of fact. So publishing and being transparent about how well these officials are doing is going to be a catalyst to make them perform well.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I would agree with you on that for sure.
All right. Well, since Sam is going to get the final word, Grace, we're coming right back at you for this final question here on tonight's Coach versus Coach. What role does bulletin board material really do with winning in football?
Oh, it's everything. But I think with the caveat of knowing your kids. I think you see teams like Chambers do a great job with that. One, it's a situation where you're putting, your kids in a situation where you're creating doubt or you're creating non-belief. And a lot of these kids these days thrive off of non-belief or the ops or whatever, term, that they use, I guess, for their contemporary vernacular. Guru, it's funny. I talked with Chachi Sullivan at Huff this weekend. He told me that to apologize to you because, of course, he told his kids that you said that Jacob Newman would run for 270 yards this week. So guys are even coming up with things and saying that other people said things just to rally their guys. So I think it's vital. And I think, Griner, I don't want to say learned a lesson because he didn't learn a lesson, but when you do that for a football hungry place like a Kings Mountain, it doesn't matter the vein of what you said. And I didn't think what Griner said was over the top. But that area bleeds football. They really love football. I'm getting messages from people I know out there to tell you to say, X, Y, and Z, and that they're tuning in to hear what you have to say. It's not that what you said was wrong, but you got to understand that you're walking into something that's crazy. And thank God you weren't going out there to Kings Mountain because I would have loved to see what was going to happen there.
Hey, Sam, before you answer, I've always told coaches, hey, if you need to use my name in vain and say that I said something about your team to motivate your players, that's fine. As long as you know that it's not personal coming from me, hey, I'm fine with it. Sam, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I would do the exact same thing these other coaches are doing, like the Chambers of the world. I'm going to use it for motivation. I would do the exact same thing, do a clip up, make a video. I would do the exact same stuff. I think they're doing exactly what you're supposed to do to get an edge this time of year. I try to do the exact same thing to give my kids an edge. That's what we feed off, confidence. West Charlotte hasn't been, over the top great the last, 10 years where people are saying our name and stuff. So I'm trying to bring a little bit of confidence to us and let them know that I'm confident. Could I be wrong? Yeah, I was wrong. That team whooped our tail in the trenches and they beat us down. I'll admit it. If they could beat us 100-0, I'm the type of person that's this. If someone could beat me 150 points to nothing, do it. I'm not going to be, why'd you run the score up on me? I got to get better. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to change. If you need to say something to me, go ahead and say it. I wouldn't change what I said 1 minute. I didn't say, we're a way better team. We don't have to play good. I said we don't have to play great. We need to play good and we still will win. And I still believe that. We did not play good. We played poor. So if we would have just been Steven, I think we'd have won the game still.
Yeah. Hey, true story. How we used to do it back in the old days. I remember it very well. 2001, we had a huge game with Davie County, and we sent our own players flowers from the florist and told them that Davie County sent us flowers for our own funeral. It's just to motivate the players. So, we've done stuff like that.
That's rich. That's rich. Now, I wanted to circle back before we got here. I was curious what you think about the NCISAA question. Should we get away from East and West seeding to get the best teams to the finals?
There are certain teams like Richmond that needs to be in the East to give the East a more competitive opportunity, I think, in the finals. at least in the 4A. Now, granted, there have the Raleigh schools did change that. Yeah, I don't have a huge problem with the way we've been doing things. I really don't. Other than I really would like to find a way that we can more balance the East and the West, because I think the West is when Grice talks Fight Club, you know, that's when it comes to playoff time. That's exactly what it is in the West, and it really
that's what's behind the idea of not taking away the East and West is to get away from that.
Right. I know.
I mean, why don't we do it and we get to see the rest of North Carolina? Like, football is big. We can pay them more. We can pay teams more. Like the NCISAA is we're trying to redo this type deal where the guys make more money, right? Like
I think they're looking at travel costs as one of the main.
That's a big issue if you start sending Mecklenburg County teams east to play. And
I mean, they go play anyway. Chambers played Cardinal Gibbons. Chambers going to play Durham.
That's
somebody
a good
in basketball.
point.
They go anyway.
Give me 4 or 5 teams that are doing
I've
it.
covered West Charlotte in playoff games against Durham teams and Fayetteville teams, second round.
Well, and I guess to be honest, with as far as 4A is concerned, this probably is a bigger impact down in the lower classifications, where the travel from the mountains to the coast would start happening more. Because when you look at 4A, we're mainly looking at Raleigh, Greensboro, Mecklenburg County areas, right? So maybe a little bit of Fayetteville. So that's where it's really going to hurt, is that 1A and then maybe 2A in travel.
Yeah.
I think it's probably harder in a sport like basketball, where you're going to play 2 to 3 games a week. But football, you know, that's going to be on a Friday night. That's going to give people time to plan. I think it may hurt ticket sales where you don't have people that will travel that far on a weekday.
Right.
But
I think
you want to see the best teams at least get to the Final Four.
Yeah, you do. Harder in the smaller classes than it would be in the big. No,
imagine.
I don't care nothing about no best team making it to the Final Four. No.
Wait, say that again, Grice.
I don't want the best teams making it. That is for y'all, the fans. I want the team that is the best team right now. And if that means whoever, the 26 seed, that means the 2 seed, that means the 5 seed. That's what I want. That's a fan thing.
Grice has on his Malik Creek shirt and his Malik Creek hat. All right, I didn't realize how heavy we were, fellas. I apologize. It's time for the star of the show.
I'm gonna give it up, Grice. I'm out of the playoff. I'm giving it to Grice. Give Grice my last segment right here. Go ahead.
You surrendering your time?
Explain to me, Grice, why you guys are gonna win. Let's go.
Real Capitol Hill. He's surrendering his time.
That's incredible. I wish you let me prepare, but I'm just thankful. I mean, we're a week away from Thanksgiving. The big thing we've been preaching to our kids. Nobody picked you to be here. Nobody thought you would be at this stage. Be thankful that we've made it this far through some tough teams. We've got the number 1 team in the state. The Huff Huskies. Everybody knows about them. We're coming in as the underdog and going to give them everything we have. So biggest thing is just preaching all of that in advance of Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you guys as well. So that's kind of what we're on this week. I'm tired. I don't feel like I'm at my best today, and I feel like all of us are like that at this point. But we're here. Let's go.
All right. Well, I apologize, folks, for being so heavy. I didn't even realize that I was laughing at Coach versus Coach and Sam taking it on the chin from Kings Mountain all week.
That's fine. Hey, I can do that. It doesn't bother me. It's fine.
He'll be back next week. So will Gary. Chambers people, Gary be back next week.
Oh yeah, I'll be back. Because Chambers is gonna be back. Chambers is gonna win the game.
There you go. They won't put.
They ain't gonna put that in the clip.
No.
No, shit. If I think the game everybody wants to see is Chambers versus Huff, and both teams don't look ahead, I think there's a strong chance we can get that. But we'll see. Weddington's gonna have something to say about that. All right, I'm Langston. That's Coach Griner, the voice, the star of the show. Surrendered his time today. My man Grice, the assistant coach at Malik Creek, enjoying a phenomenal playoff run. Dale Ross, the great Dale Ross, the guru Chris Hughes, the number 1 voice of high school football. Alex Bass, who's awful quiet today during the show. We didn't hear much from Alex. And then my man Gary Richmond. We are Talking Preps. We'll be back next week.